Hey, Corey MacArthur here, your realtor online with Remax and the Komoka Homes team, and wanted to come to you here with our back to school real estate report. So as I've talked to you guys about before, a lot of times when we look at the health of a real estate market, we can boil it down to really simple kind of supply and demand, very similar to any kind of capital market really. And when we look at Kilworth and Komoka, we kind of want to look back and see what's happening specifically with that, but look at some of the other key factors that are important when we look at the health. So price, how long our homes are staying on the market, all of those things are important factors that we want to consider. So when we look at just the simple numbers, we see that we've actually sold 78 homes up until the end of August. We've sold 78 homes, which is actually outpacing the previous year, but we've seen our average sales price actually fall to $418,000 or just above that, which is our average sales price, and that is a little bit lower than we saw in 2015. But when we consider what's been happening in the market, we have seen more activity in the lower price ranges, and some of that has to do with the condos that are being sold in Kilworth in the $200,000 price range. Certainly brings that average down. And when we look at what's happening between Kilworth and Komoka, we almost see an equal split between the two communities, with Komoka having 35 of those sales and Kilworth respectively having 38. Whereas last year we saw a lot of the activity actually happening in Komoka, and part of that had to do with the fact that we had much more availability of homes here in Komoka versus in Kilworth. So that made a difference, whereas this year it's back to what we traditionally see, where there's almost a 50-50 split. And the other key factor that we look at is that we're on average, most homes are on the market for around 41 days, and they're actually selling for 100% of asking price on average. Again, not every home is getting that, but that is certainly the first time that we've seen that in a long time. And it's almost mirroring what we're seeing in London real estate market, where the sellers are actually dictating a lot of what's going on. And it's not quite a seller's market here in Kilworth and Komoka like we're seeing in London, where homes are selling very quickly for over asking price, multiple offer situations. Quite often it's very common kind of reality for buyers and sellers right now in the London market, and it's just, we are seeing a bit of that here, but just not quite to the same degree that we see that in London. So as I mentioned, a lot of what we look at when we look at the health of the real estate market, and when we want to try and project what's going to happen into the next 3 months or the fall market that we see here, is supply and demand. So all year we saw that supply was actually kind of outpacing the demand, except in this chart you'll see here, you can see in May they almost were identical, they almost matched. And what you want to see as a seller is you would love to see that where the demand begins, those lines cross, and the demand begins to outpace active supply on the market. And we're actually seeing that here at the end of August, where the demand, the number of home sales, is outpacing the available supply on the market. And that's really favorable for a seller, because as I'm sure you can understand, when there's not a lot to choose from, buyers can't get very picky, and they have to choose from what there's there, and there's usually multiple buyers looking for the same thing, and they end up competing for the limited inventory that's on the market, which means that sellers usually get to dictate the terms, and usually the homes are being sold for very close to asking price or well above asking price as well. So that's really what we see happening here. I think that we can expect a healthy fall market. I think that we'll expect to see the number of home sales hit the highest that we've ever seen. I mean, last year it was like 83 home sales, the year before it was 81, and we're already there after the third quarter. We're pretty close to that, so it's reasonable to expect that we'll see demand continue to grow. And I think we'll continue to see prices grow, even though our average sales price is down. I don't think it's you know, kind of indicative of the value of our homes here. It's very hard to nail that down exactly until you get down to a per house basis, and you begin to look at each individual property and how that individual property has grown and how the specific community has grown. So if you have any questions about what your home may be worth if you're considering selling here in the fall, or if you just want to know what's going on in your community, I'd love to chat with you. You can always reach out to me by email at corey@komokahomes.ca, or give me a call, shoot me a text directly on my cell at 519-476-7016. Other than that, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hopefully we'll chat soon, and remember, it matters who you work with. Take care. Bye-bye.